Hello everyone, welcome back to the SMITE Guide to Supports. This is Yemoja. Now, Yemoja is, out of all of the supports in the game, definitely the most unique. Her first ability has two different forms that it alternates between. She doesn't use mana, she uses Omi. And she's got a wildly underestimated ability to damage enemy shields. I'll talk about that in a bit. She also has the only auto attack that heals allies. She's also one of only two ranged guardians. Hades used to be one, but he has since become a mage. The only other one is Sylvanas, who himself has a very unique auto attack, but we'll cover Sylvanas in a different series. I just backhanded my mic, I apologize if you heard that. But Yemoja is a bit different to play than a lot of other supports, and I'm going to detail why. I'll actually be able to show you why she's a bit weirder to play than a lot of other supports. Now, alright, we have a Cerberus. Oh no, we probably have Capri. That's probably a solo lane Cerberus. Who's our solo lane? Achilles. That's gonna be ugly. Well, no, the Achilles can stun the Cerberus out of the fire breath. I suppose I shouldn't worry about that now. The Capri is going to be fairly interesting. I need to decide how I'm going to specifically approach this. How do I want to be playing the Yemoja? I think I know how I want to be playing this. Alright. Yep, I think I know where I'm going with this. This is actually a good matchup support-wise for Yemoja. Gonna go for Benevolence? Yes, we want Benevolence here. Benevolence is a personal preference of mine on Yemoja. I'm going to detail why in a brief moment, and of course we are going to want the Glorious Gauntlet of Thebes, Hog, Cloak, Health Potions. Alright, so why not Sentinel's Gift? It's a very important question. Why did I choose Benevolence instead of Sentinel's Gift? Well, primarily because my girl here, Yemoja, does not have mana. She has Omi. I discussed this before. This means Sentinel's Gift is only actually really good for regenerating your... I was wondering if he was going to go for that. I mean, I've never seen that before, but that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't done. Anyways, so Benevolence can be just as effective for increasing the, providing healing, providing gold, providing MP5, well, MP5 doesn't matter, HP5, etc. The other key here is that late game I can use that to either go into Sanctuary, I think it is called, or whatever it is, or Animosity for some surprise damage, because Yemoja can actually hit very hard even without building any power. Just gonna waltz in here and boom. So there is, and I'm kind of leaning towards that myself, and I'll detail why in a bit, but her second ability, if used on enemies, can in fact be incredibly effective at eliminating shields, which obviously helps you against Kepri. It helps you with the absolute insane prevalence of shields in the game. You've got Pridwin being hugely popular, of course. Now, also notice that I'm not spamming the first ability. I could spam the first ability, but I'm not. There's a very important reason for that. Omi regenerates very slowly in the early game, so you kind of want to use it for when it's really important. Alright. That was a bit more damage than I was expecting out of my boy Apollo here. Also, I'm not surprised that AMC got grabbed, to be honest. He's not got any kind of mobility, so that's not too surprising there. I'm just going to try to stall out my boy here. Yeah. You really aren't that scary to me, Kepri, my dude. I'm out of Omi. So we're just gonna treat this a bit differently here. So you'll also notice that I can shoot through AMC and hit stuff for healing AMC and hitting the target. So you aren't necessarily always wanting to be in front of your support, which is a bit different. In front of your ADC, which is a bit different from how supports typically play. Now, in this particular instance, because AMC is apparently prone to being grabbed, we are going to want to treat that with a lot more caution. We are going to want to be in front of him more often than we'd like to be as Yemoja. So the early game is going to be a bit difficult for us in that specific regard, but as the game goes on, that'll lighten up, and it'll work to our advantage in the later game with our ability to punch through Khepri's health shield later on. Early game, we're really not going to need to worry about that too much. Okay, we were able to force it back, which is really nice. Put down a ward here. Just do a... He still walked into that for some reason. Alright. Throw this over here. Hit the wave a little bit. Hit Khepri a little bit. Just make sure that Khepri doesn't get his hands on AMC again, so AMC can level up. I could use Omi here. I'm not going to. I'm going to save this up. Okay. Always increase your first ability. You should have the other two available as soon as possible. The second one is a really useful heal. The third one can be used for some really interesting interactions. Khepri still has potions. It's really not worth it yet, but it is something we'll want to be looking at in the future. Also, if possible, I'm going to try to separate from AMC here, so I can possibly... We're not going to be able to get the bonuses we need, and then... This is actually not the opportunity I was hoping for. That's okay. We can get this, though, because they're all nice. Oh, nope, never mind. It's not quite up yet. Yeah, that's a shame. Oh, pardon me. Puberty again. All right. I barely missed that. Or chase? Oh, that's Pele not. No, AMC. Yeah, we need to get out of here. I'm trying to slow her down at this point. Nope. I'm probably also dead here. No, because Apollo did not chase, which is interesting. Ah, so close. If that stun had popped off, I would have been able to kill her. That's a shame. That was not well aimed, that bubble. Finally have ult. Just trying to keep these minions out of here. Come on, there we go. Alright. I actually have to go back at this point. I'm going to throw down this and this bubble here because my Omi will be increasing a little bit faster in the fountain, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave. I'm going to leave AMC to farm at this point. And I'm hoping to attract attention away. I want the AMC to solo farm. He is behind. He's behind by a decent bit. So we are going to want to try to catch him up by just leaving him in lane. Just letting him be. Khepri has rotated as well. He anticipated this move. Turned out I didn't need that ult. I thought I was going to because it looked like it was possible Hubwall was going to get out, but nah. He wasn't even remotely interested in getting out. He should not be. He should not have been there. He really should not have been. He's behind. He doesn't have an escape. He should not have been there. He is way too aggressive for not having an escape. You have to play escapeless gods very carefully, and he just does not treat his lack of escape with the proper amount of respect. Alright. Also need to start building wards pretty soon. I wasn't able to last time because I needed all my money for the extremely important Gauntlet of Thebes. Alright. There we go. I have no idea where they are. We can take this. We can take this. No, no. I suppose you want to get the wave first, actually. Yeah. Very nice. He really picked up what I was laying down there. That's nice. Gonna get that? No. Okay, I was expecting Giannis to be there for some reason. He had no reason to be. I shouldn't have been there myself. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm gonna be really honest. I could have been an extremely stupid decision on my part. I'm gonna gank right lane over here in the... Hi. Are you aware? Not really. Not. That's fine. Okay, Apollo is backing. He probably has his ult. I'm going to go ahead and do the... No, I'm just going to leave him to his own devices. This is a good opportunity for him to catch up. Kepri's still over there. Why is Kepri... There's Apollo ulting. Okay. Nope. Bring it back up. Almost got the kill there. At the very least, we did successfully give AMC the pressure he needs to farm. Apollo's ult is down. He should be able to farm basically for free. It should help him catch up. He's level 8 now, which is really nice.
Enemies incoming left. Follow if you dare. Cancel that. Middle lane. Enemies have returned middle. Enemies spotted.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure this is really the best idea, but okay.
My blessing for you.
Yeah. Alright, we're gonna... Once you've got your first ability upgraded as much as you can, obviously this is the point at which we have to upgrade another ability. We'll finish the first ability off next level. You want to increase the second one. This increases the heal and increases its ability to do damage to shields, which will become very important later on in team fights when Kepri is providing his allies with the shield. We will really be wanting that. Do you need me to... I mean, you're far enough ahead where you can spare at least a bit of experience here. And stacks. There we go. At this point, again, we've finished our stacks. We've got plenty of gold. No, actually, maybe? I keep using it by accident. See, notice that just with that last weird fight where even though we didn't get the kill, we forced them back. That's all we needed to get my boy up to speed here. Is this a gank? No. This is not likely to end well for us. I turned around barely in time for that, and I wasn't even aware it was coming in. That was purely accidental. I almost died there. I don't think you... you probably understand if you've played a while, or if you're familiar with a Willish. If you're not familiar with a Willish, you have no idea what I was about to be slapped with. Hello. I keep using that. Hi. I'm gonna die here, aren't I? Nope, maybe not. What? I died, yeah. They picked her up, which is great. But I probably didn't need to die there, to be honest. Okay, so what are we going to go for next? We don't have enough magic damage for that, so I kind of want to just go into Pestilence. Nice. Very nice. I don't know if they have necessarily enough healing for that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to go into Shogun's Kusari, and we're going to grab a ward. Now, keep in mind that cooldown reduction increases only regeneration. MP5 increases our MP5, yes, are applied to the health pool. This isn't going to... the MP5 increases the amount of health we heal. Right? Great. So that's nice. That was badly placed, honestly. Are we committing to this, or no? What are we doing here? He waltzed right into that for no reason. I'm confused. What are we actually doing here? What are we looking for? We don't have a purpose to this fight. We really don't. I'm gonna heal us up here, because I'm not sure what we're doing. That's fine. That's alright. Alright. I'm trying to heal her up as much as possible. Stop that. There we go. Good. AMC's coming into his own. Finally. That was a bit wild and woolly, but here we are. Now, again, notice that when I couldn't use any abilities, I was still able to do some healing there. Not as much as I would have liked, because that was a really sticky situation. There were bodies everywhere. It was just hideously messy. But I was able to make a difference with healing. So it's not vitally important that you necessarily have abilities up. As long as you've got attack speed, you can do some impressive healing. I'll be wanting to accentuate this later on, but... And this will also come in handy when we build Animosity and we start actually doing some damage ourselves. And this should push down to the point where the minions should take that tower. We don't want that? Okay. Oh, hello, Willish. Okay, she's... Where did she go? I've lost track of Willish. Yeah, get out of here, Kebri. Why is Cerberus just in middle lane now? I just want him to know that I know he's here. How? What were you expecting? Hello. Yeah, I can't. Ah, shoot. I tried. Nice. I mean, they may have gotten the Gold Fury, but 2 kills isn't bad. Yeah, we're not going to catch up with her. I already can guarantee you we're not catching up with the Wheelish. That's fair enough. I'll be able to keep people alive. Again, we're just going to sit back and we're going to use our healing primarily here. Throw this out here, throw this out here actually. The health shield will probably do more good. We got the fire giant, we got a Wieldish there. Slap him. And we can get Hobwa, I think. I didn't get the stun, shoot. That was a very bold move. What was he thinking with that? Excuse me? He might have been able to get away. Maybe. He had his support and his solo incoming. It wasn't impossible for him to get out of there, but that was just a terrible ult. There's no reason for that. Ah, I timed that wrong with the Janos portal, but that's fine. I'll go in. Oh, you're not even doing that. Alright. That's not worth it then. I don't have as much physical protection as I'd like for this. I kind of can't support that. Come on. There we go. I'm going to die here, which is fine if I do. We took a lot for this. And losing just me would be totally... I'm not even going to die for this. Oh, wait, hold on. I might have spoken too soon. Now we're gonna... no, they're going for this. Okay. Okay. Just rely on the HP 5. We're fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Let's party rock. Slow her down, get her off Pele's back. I was going to be very surprised if she didn't pull me in. We should not be doing this well. Hello? Apollo, you okay? What? Alright. I can't believe we're going to win this at 17. No, we're not. I don't think we are. We can't possibly be. Yeah, looks like... Oh, I'm going to die. There I go. Alright, that's fair enough. We're going to go for Lotus Crown. Again, that MP5 is going to convert into HP for us. And then I'm going to want to go for Stone of Fall. I already have 150-ish protections. I don't want to push it too much here. So I'm going to go for Stone of Fall. I'm already going to be using auto attacks anyways. It gives us a decent amount of each protection. And it gives us some really nice damage mitigation. So that's going to be really nice for us. So we're going to go for that next. And then I'll probably finish up with a delicious Rod of Asclepius, just so I can increase our healing, because AMC has his passive heal, Achilles has his self-heal, Pele has his self-heal. Frankly, the only person who doesn't self-heal in any way, shape, or form is Pele. So it actually is going to be a really good idea in this particular context to build Rod of Asclepius. It isn't always necessarily, but with the amount of self-heals we have on the team, as well as the amount of healing I'm pushing out, it really is a good choice in this particular context. I'm just going to try to keep ahead of the Khepri here. I'm not that far ahead of Khepri, to be honest. I'm probably 3/4 of a level. Yeah, I'm 500 gold ahead, so probably closer to half a level, on estimation. We're just going to cut him off. Here's Apollo. There goes Apollo. Okay. That was probably the worst ult in the history of Yemoja ults, but okay. Why am I alone? What is this? I know someone's around here. Hello. Holy cow. They told me to attack the Titan. I go to attack the Titan, and no one's there. AMC is split pushing for some unholy reason. At least they picked up somebody for me. It wasn't just me dying for no reason. They actually picked something up. They're going to hopefully be able to take that Phoenix. Achilles is torn between helping Janus. He should have just helped Janus. We're too split up. We shouldn't have split up like that. We didn't need to do any of that. None of that needed to happen. We were too separated. It was me, Achilles, and Janus. Then I was suddenly by myself. This is half my fault. I wasn't paying enough attention to what my allies were doing on the minimap. But then, you know, we're just splitting up here, and that's really not what we want to see here. So, yeah, not great. I may actually swap out the Lotus Crown for Breastplate of Valor. It might be more helpful, honestly. I want a glyph. Already done. Now, in this particular instance, okay, he's not going to go for that plan. Ideally, you would want to actually heal somebody through that, but like that. Wait. Now we go. What are you doing, Achilles? Just stand still so I can heal you while killing the Titan. The Fire Giant. There we go. Took longer than it really needed to. Why is Pele up there? We can take this really quick. There we go. I mean, she's really not in that much danger, to be honest. We're split up again. We keep splitting up. We win if we just group up.
Attack middle lane. I'll attack left lane.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. He went in that way. Okay. There we go. Shoot. I'm gonna die here. Yep. There we go. Okay. 2, 2, 3. Good. That's it. There we go. Team wipe. We win. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting one to talk about because it was an interesting showcase of what Yemoja can do. Because I really didn't use Yemoja that aggressively. Not as aggressively as I thought I would at the beginning of the game. There are a couple of reasons for that. But let's go through the game a little bit more here. Now, the early game was terrible for AMC. He was too aggressive. He didn't respect the Khepri enough. I also, for the first death, I was not in front of him like I should have been. I did not account for the Khepri. So that first death is my fault. He was still too aggressive in the early game. Obviously, he recovered. The aggression did pay off. That one fight where the Apollo ulted in and we scared them both off, that was huge for him. He was able to turn back around, and that is partially because of just how much I was able to just throw out in the way of abilities. You could see how much I was able to slow down and outright stop Khepri a lot of the time with just my first ability. That makes a decent bit of difference. There was that team fight where all my abilities were down. I was doing some healing there. I'm pretty sure the auto heals were the only reason Pele stayed alive for one moment there. There was a moment she was really close to death, and then not only did her passive kick in, plus Soul Eater here, right? Her passive kicked in, Soul Eater kicked in, my healing kicked in. She was getting healing from 3 different sources, which is what kept her alive. Most of that is still because she played really well. I'm not going to take credit for that or anything. I was just there to really support that. Obviously, I'm a support. But just the 3 heals combined was more than the enemy team could put out to kill her or finish her off. So that was just really nice there. And that's really, I think, an underutilized part of Yemoja's kit here, and not a lot of people talk about this. A couple of players talk about that. One of my favorite pro supports, whose name I can't remember, he's got Tourette's. For the life of me, I can't remember his name. Incon, thank you, yes. I just remembered it. Incon talks about it sometimes, that her heal is actually really useful, even in the midst of team fights. I don't really see many other support players on YouTube talk about her auto attack heals, but they're really incredibly important to her, because even if you aren't using her, even if you don't have any abilities up because your Omi is down, you still can really contribute in a way that a lot of supports can't. I frequently mention that most supports have terrible auto attacks. A few exceptions are Sylvanas and Ymir as 2 other exceptions. But Yemoja not only can damage enemies, but heal allies simultaneously if she's positioned correctly. And that is going to be a really important thing. That's consistently an important thing with Yemoja, is positioning, because I didn't use it in this particular instance, again, because we were pretty far ahead. But if you use the water rings correctly, and if you're positioned correctly, you can use those to really prevent enemies from getting away, and it's incredibly potent. That matters a bit more when you're behind. See, the interesting thing about Yemoja is she's got a response whether she's ahead or behind. If your team is ahead, which we were pretty far ahead at this point. I mean, we almost had double the kills, right? We had 32 kills to their 18. We were 11,000 gold ahead. We were pretty substantially ahead, right? If you're ahead as Yemoja, you rely very heavily on your ult and your first ability, because they do damage, and if you're ahead, you're going to do more damage, and the slow and the stun combo is actually quite damaging when you're ahead, because that's all your allies really need. If your team is behind, then her second and third abilities really come in. The second ability, as I mentioned, does extra damage to shields. I actually want to talk about this very specifically, so we're actually going to go into Yemoja's kit here, right? Mending Waters. Now, again, this is a slept-on ability here, dealing extra unmitigated damage to shields. It's an extra 130 damage, plus the base damage that it already does. That is, even excluding magic power, that's 300 damage to shields, right? Now, this doesn't sound too hot, right? This doesn't sound very incredibly useful. Professor, you can just burst through the shields anyways. I'm sorry, that's not the shield damage, that's the shield health. I'm the derpus. Triple damage to shields, right? For whatever your magic power is. But you're still probably like, Professor, it doesn't really matter. It does. Again, I could have used it against the Khepri there. If the enemy team had been ahead, Khepri's shield would have been really quite impressive, because it would have been 5% of the enemy's max health, and if the enemy is ahead, they're going to have more max health comparatively than your team. So that shield is going to seem even more intimidating in a team fight, even more protective in a team fight if the enemy team is ahead. This is actually why Khepri plays so well from ahead, is his passive. Besides that, you've also got a ton of people building Pridwin. Now, Pridwin has a shield equal to 100% of your protections. This typically, for most supports, sits around the 400 health mark, right? Not a ton of supports these days are building very much past 200, maybe 250-ish. So you're looking usually, on average, a Pridwin shield of 400 to 500, right? At triple damage with 170, excluding whatever magic power you've got, you're already dealing 410 damage. So a particularly weak Pridwin shield is just gone when that ability is rank 5, right? And then if you're actually building magic power, for example, Lotus Crown, 30 magic power there, maybe you've got, I don't have this down here. Maybe you've got Rod of Asclepius for 90, that's very potent, right? That can be a decent amount of damage to shields. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, you've also got the potential with Bulwark of Hope, which again is a very underutilized item. So you've got that. Maybe your enemy has... That doesn't count as a shield, does it? No. I was going to say, is that classified as a shield? No. But between Bulwark of Hope, which is more useful than people give it credit for, and Pridwin, which a lot of people use, be they warriors or guardians, a lot of people use that. Health shields that are just on a bunch of very popular gods right now, like Ravan. He's got a health shield. Khepri, of course, has a health shield. Khepri isn't quite as popular as he used to be right now, but, you know. Enemy Yemoja's. Yemoja's very popular right now, so she's actually, interestingly enough, a decent counter to herself. It can be quite impactful. Again, this partially depends on the team composition and whether or not your enemies are ahead, but because we were ahead, you'll notice, again, I didn't use this much, because that wasn't my concern. I was looking for the slapping of the bubble and the moonstrike. Really impressive damage output, even with very little power, as you could probably see. And even more important, some good stuns. I missed a couple of moonstrikes, very obviously, especially at the end in the mid-game there. Some pretty important moonstrikes were missed. Didn't make a difference, ultimately. They were picked up later, those particular targets. Hobwa at the end. Actually, Hobwa in the mid-game, too, wasn't it? It was always Hobwa I missed. Interestingly enough. But this is really what you're going to rely on when you're ahead. Again, this can make quite a difference in keeping enemies from escaping a fight that they're losing, and if they're ahead, this becomes even more important, because obviously if you're ahead, you're going to have an easier time escaping, because you're going to have more health and protections, generally speaking, which gives you more opportunities to flee. But if you can place a Riptide properly, which again partially depends on your positioning, you can prevent that enemy from escaping, give your allies the opportunity to finish that enemy off, and then they can, start to catch up by that method. So it really depends, because obviously if you're behind, you're not really going to be hitting too hard with Bouncing Bubble / Moonstrike. So Furthermore, the reason why I recommend specifically Benevolence is because if you're behind, Compassion is huge. You gain 8 GP5, which is important because with that GP5 you can start building up for Elixirs of Defense, which will help you stay alive, which will help your team. By you being alive longer, you can support your allies more, you can heal them more as Yemoja, right? So if you're behind, Compassion is really useful. It also helps redirect damage to allies to you, which helps them stay alive longer. Compassion is the way to go. If you're ahead, Animosity is the way to go for the same reason you rely on your first ability when you're ahead. Damage output. Surprise damage output. Whereas with Sentinel's Gift, again, getting the assist gives you 7 bonus gold, which is fine. You get gold from Benevolence's passive right here. Each stat consumed provides you with a gold. If you play your cards right, which I wasn't able to do this match because I was too close to AMC a lot of the time, but there were you could see throughout the match that I was healing allies with this as I was moving between lanes, and I was getting gold for that. Right? You could see it happening just by itself. You don't even need to think about it or worry about it. But you also get 12 health and 8 mana, but she doesn't have mana. Yes, that mana increase, the mana restoration is being converted to HP, but not 100%. Behold, health conversion 20% of mana, 20% of 8 is only stinking 2. Alright, so you're healing 14 health instead of 12 health and 8 mana. It really isn't worth it. I am completely serious. I don't usually build. There are occasional moments where I will build this so I can get Sentinel's Embrace in the late game. There are some very specific scenarios where I do that. Usually it's because the enemy team is abnormally aggressive. It is an abnormally high damage composition. Maybe they've got a, I don't know, instead of a warrior solo and a guardian support, maybe they have, oh gosh, a mage solo and an assassin support, right? That's higher damage, less defense. Then maybe I'd be looking at Sentinel's Embrace to help bolster my allies' protections against that. In that particular context, that's a bit more useful, because if the enemy team composition is high enough in damage, they're going to burn right through Compassion before it even makes that much of a difference, right? Maximum of 100 damage, that's going to mean really nothing if all 5 of the enemy team are doing significant amounts of damage. Doesn't make as much of a difference. Sentinel's Embrace, with that aura of increased protections, even though the more allies you have around, the more it's split and it's not quite as potent, it's still, even that little bit may help save your allies' lives compared to the relatively minor impact of Compassion in that particular instance, which is going to be burning through 100 damage every other second, right? So in high damage enemy comps, I'll build this specifically for Sentinel's Embrace, but otherwise, I'm pretty much going to default to Benevolence, and which one I choose, Compassion or Animosity, is going to depend on whether or not I'm behind or ahead. Same thing with the Yemoja's abilities. If I'm ahead, I'm relying very much on the first ability. If I'm behind, I'm relying much more on the second 2 abilities. And you'll notice even when we were ahead, I was still using Mending Waters for its heal, for its health shield. I used it most notably to help keep my allies fresh during the Fire Giant. Now this is fairly important and surprisingly incredibly impactful, because this means, without having to use Shell for instance, you can keep your allies fresh and ready to turn around and rush right at the enemy after the Fire Giant. The only real risk to doing a Fire Giant is that your allies take so much damage during that they can't turn around and immediately attack with that Fire Giant buff. Yemoja can really help prevent this. Now, this seems like it doesn't happen very often, and it frankly doesn't happen too often, but I have seen games, both as the person attacking the Fire Giant and the person defending right afterwards, where the team that took the Fire Giant took so much damage doing so, because they didn't have the whole team there, that they weren't really able to effectively use the Fire Giant buff, or they were very easily killed afterwards and lost it anyways, right? Mending Waters can really help prevent that. It's a very similar thing if you're trying to attack a tower, except in this particular case, you're specifically looking to heal and shield yourself because you're probably tanking it, and this is really the only way you can do so. But if you're attacking a Phoenix or a tower as Yemoja, considering your support, you're probably attacking with anyone else, so you actually have someone there that you can bounce it off of and thereby increase your own healing, right? And again, if you're behind, Riptide can be incredibly potent. I mentioned earlier that you can use it to bounce enemies towards your allies, but you can also use this very effectively to keep enemies away from your allies. This is particularly interesting if your team is behind and you're trying to keep your hunter alive, and say the enemy solo lane is trying to kill them, or whoever, any melee really. You can just use Riptide to help keep that enemy away from your hunter, and your hunter can just shoot through the Riptide with no problems and gain a huge advantage that way. And I really don't see too many people use Riptide for this. Again, I didn't need to because we were ahead. I was busy, trying to slow and stun the enemies in place, right? I didn't need this so much because I was able to do the damage and make the impact with this. But if I was behind, this would be something I would be relying on a lot more. And either way, no matter how that works, you're still going to want to increase Bouncing Bubble and Moonstrike first because, quite frankly, it's good for wave clear in case you need to help with wave clear. It sometimes happens. As all support mains know, sometimes you just gotta clear a wave yourself. It happens. And this, as you can see, while the protections increase, in the particular context that I've been talking about, if you're behind, you're not looking to increase Riptide because you're not looking for the move speed or the protections, you're looking for the push away. You're looking for the push towards. You're not really looking for the stats, you're looking for the movement. So it doesn't really matter whether or not you've got increased protections or movement speed or increased slow on this. That doesn't matter. You're doing this for basically the big game of, let me move you where I need you to be. Basically. But this is what you're relying on if you're behind, and you're going to use this to keep enemies away from your mage and your ADC. So, also, if you're behind, you're going to want to emphasize cooldowns more. I really didn't talk about this during the match, again, because we were ahead. But if you're behind, you're going to want to try to get your 40% cooldown, because that increases your Omi regeneration, and Riptide is more expensive than Bouncing Bubble / Moonstrike is. This uses 2 Omi, as shown here. 2 Omi. This uses 3, okay? So you really need cooldown reduction fast if you find your team is falling behind. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's a rough overview of Yemoja. You'll be seeing more of Yemoja as time goes on, obviously, because I'm going to do the whole series. But this is generally some things you should really be keeping in mind when you are approaching Yemoja in Conquest, in SMITE. Just things to keep in mind. And really this is, I think, the reason why Yemoja is first pick, first ban so often. She can adapt so seamlessly to being behind, to being ahead. Doesn't matter. She's got a response, and it's a powerful response. If you're ahead, if Yemoja's ahead, you're spamming slows and stuns. If you're behind, your enemies are going to have a really rough time approaching your damage dealers because Riptides will be all over the place. Right? It's just, she can make such an impact no matter what the situation is. And that's why she's first pick, first ban so often. It's just the amount she can do with so little is incredible. So, with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.